Hello, my name is MooingCat and welcome back to another beta recap where I will talk about what's been going on the beta server this last week, including an update to the Guild Battlegrounds changes, some very interesting spoilers about Guild Expedition, which I've already made a video about, some new rush icons, as well as the first look at the 2023 football event. But before all of that, let's have a quick look at the daily changelogs for this week. Starting with Monday, there were some display updates for various issues there. The main things, using an upgrade kit would not close the upgrade mode when you can't use the kit anymore. So that's something that I noticed myself. I was upgrading some Sentinel outposts, I believe it was, but the window for the upgrade didn't close after I had upgraded all the Sentinels I had in my city. So that had been fixed now, which is nice. Then we have made some balancing changes to the Halloween event. Now, even though this was for Monday the 17th, it was actually posted the Friday before, so I did actually cover those Halloween changes in my last video. That was the changes to the Daunting Tower, so just quickly, in case you didn't see that video, the boost was increased from 35 to 50% attack boost. It still only lasts for 1 day. And then I think the biggest change was that the fragments were removed. Now instead you will receive a full building, both in the event pass and daily specials, if you go for it when they are daily specials. There were also some other non-specific changes to daily specials and event pass, which we will wait until live to actually see what those entail. So that was those changes. Then on Tuesday, on beta app, on the app, having a partner account, so for example created via Facebook, you got an incorrect wrong password error when trying to log in. So that was fixed. Then on Wednesday, in the Halloween event, opening the shop while having a tool selected now unselects the tool. So not something I noticed, but apparently if you had a tool selected, you opened the shop to, for example, buy more tools, you wouldn't unselect the tool. That has now been fixed. Not a big deal, but nice, I suppose. Then on Thursday, we have some quite big changes, or quite a few changes. This was the day after the winter event was launched, so quite a few changes or fixes based on that. First of all, the Nutcracker guardhouse only needed 15 fragments. That was wrong and has been changed to 200. That's something that I mentioned in my first impressions video for the winter event. That was already known back then. So yeah, the intended number was 200 fragments, which will mean that from each of the main buildings, you will be able to produce a Nutcracker in around 2 months. Anyways, if a building had the same resource as production with and without the need of motivation, the added amount for motivation was not displayed. That was also something I mentioned in my initial winter event video. For the buildings, the rewards you got when it was motivated did not display in the information when you hovered over the building. So that has also been fixed now. You should see the correct amounts in game. Actually, let's quickly have a look and see if that is true. So now, first of all, 200. And if you hover it, you will now see that you get additional rewards when it is motivated. The forge points here, for example, did not display, and similar for the main building. Now you can see that you also get additional forge points and goods when it is motivated. That did not display. So that's nice to know. All right, then some display updates. And then we have added some sounds to the winter event when the presents fly in from the top. I have no idea what this is, but let's just check it out. So let me turn on the sounds and let's check it out. Well, that was underwhelming. I didn't really feel like that, but it was a slight whooshing sound, but yeah, not a lot else. Anyways, on the mobile version on the app, they added a deactivated 2,995 diamonds button to the Elves Workshop window when selecting a reward, indicating that you have to pay them to collect the rewards. That was also something I mentioned in my winter event video. It might be confusing that you can spend diamonds and then not get anything immediately. You still have to spend an additional 3,000 diamonds to actually collect those Elves Workshop / Reindeer Sleigh rewards. So hopefully this improves the clarity a little bit there. Still not convinced, but anyways, some other updates to display. And then we have also added some animations to the Elves Workshop. I don't know what that is. I don't play on the app as much, and I don't think there is any animation here on the browser, so I don't know. Perhaps when you select a GIF to get some animation, I don't know. Anyways, on Friday, just some display update, so not really anything to talk about there. All right. Then, moving on to the Guild Battlegrounds update or announcement. Quite a few weeks ago, or months ago actually. Let's see when it was first announced. Back in June actually, end of June. They announced that they were testing some changes to the Guild Battlegrounds, and mainly decreasing the cap on attrition reduction to 66%. Anyways, speaking of the test, more and more players requested that this change gets either released on live for further testing especially, or gets removed. Sadly, none of those options can be done currently. The test will probably stay beta only for at least the rest of this year. The reason for that is that we want to see the long-term effects of this change. When the new change gets implemented, a lot want to test it out, give their feedback based on their initial thoughts, and stop testing it again after the first 1 to 3 seasons. Of course, this feedback is also very valuable. However, the data received is very important too, and getting the intended data might take a while. Now you may ask, if we need data, why don't we collect it on the live servers? The reasons are simple. We don't want to bring this change to live until we are sure it has the intended effect, which we wrote in the initial announcement. The other reason is that starting it now on the live servers do not give the data we want. As written previously, we want long-term data. Releasing it on live does not provide this data. Even if it would be tested on live for this long, we believe it would not change the result. Also, testing on live servers is not something that general players like a lot. We are on the beta server here, testing is normal, changes are normal. On live, the situation is different. You might remember one or another change done on the live server, and based on the feedback, many did not like them, as they could throw away plans we had based on beta, changes to event buildings, changes in daily specials, etc. So that's the announcement. Let me give some of my initial thoughts on it. First of all, the fact that they are testing it longer on beta, that makes sense. Not really surprised about that. Don't really have too much to say here. That's perfectly fine. They want some long-term data. Then we have this second paragraph here, which I partly agree with, but also some statements here that I take a little bit issue with. First of all, down here, you might remember one or another changed on the live servers, and based on the feedback, many did not like them, as they could throw away plans you had based on beta, changes to event buildings, daily specials, etc. I think this is confusing two issues. I don't think this logic here applies to this situation. So what he's talking about here is changes to events, for example, from beta to the live server. And that, I definitely agree with, is a bad thing. Many people make their plans based on the beta event. Me, for example, I make all my guides based on beta results. So if there are some changes, especially when not announced, that is quite a big issue when it comes to the live servers. I don't think this is the same situation, because these changes, it wouldn't be changes from beta to live. It would be what is tested now on beta being applied directly to the live servers. All of that would already be known with announcement. People would know what the changes are and all of that. It would still take some time, sure, for people to realize and understand all of that. But there are no hidden or changed things from beta to live. And that's the issue when events are changed from beta to live without any feedback or any information about it. That throws away plans, throws plans. But releasing things directly from beta to live in the same state, I don't agree that that is the same. So I think this is similar to a situation from the international server, a couple of years ago, back in 2019, I believe. There was a test where they wanted to test having 3 recalcs per day in guild versus guild. They tested it on beta initially, and then they also wanted to test it on a live server. So they tested it for a while on the international server. I was a part of that. I personally found it quite fun, but I definitely understand why they didn't add it, because it definitely did increase burnout and all of that. Anyways, what I'm saying is that I think this is a similar situation to that, where they definitely could test it on live if they wanted to. They say that releasing it on beta would not provide the long-term data or change the result, and that might be true. They might get the same results on beta as they would on live, so that's understandable. But I don't agree that if they wanted more data, that it would be necessarily a bad thing to test it on one server on the live servers. I don't mind that they are not doing it, but I don't really agree with the reasoning here for not doing it. Anyways, not really that big of a deal. The main thing is that the test will probably stay on beta for at least the rest of this year. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if this is not released. I'm kind of 50-50 right now. I feel like based on the feedback that they might see that the people don't like it. I suspect that the data might also bear that out, so perhaps they will not add it to live, similar to how they didn't, in the end, go with the 3 recalcs per day in guild versus guild. Anyways, we will know more about that in a couple of months, I suppose, when we learn if it is actually coming to the live servers or not. But for now, we have this announcement. Anyways, let's move on to spoilers. And first of all, we of course have the guild expedition. I made a separate video on it, so I will not dwell on it long here. Let me just quickly go through it. So we have a brand new building, a brand new chain building with most likely 3 levels for the main building, and then 3 different chain buildings like this. We have level 3 for both the Ritual Flame and Sacred Skywatch, and then yet another brand new building, which we don't really know anything about. Guild Expedition level 5 is announced. We have some very interesting things about temples, relics, fortresses, statues, all of that, which I did speculate about quite a bit in my video from a couple of days ago. I do want to mention one thing. In my live stream yesterday, I had a quick look at what these names here actually mean, if they actually correspond to anything. And it turns out that they are 3 different Aztec gods that all seem to be kind of similar and all centered around merchants, trade, roads is a common theme, and so on. So the first one here, Aztec god of roads. The second one here, Aztec god of commerce and merchants. And this one, Aztec god of day road, whichever that means. And he can also be a protector of merchants. So I think that kind of or perhaps confirms or that heightens my suspicion in what I mentioned in my previous video, that these 3 might be related to negotiations, the 3 statues, and then the 3 temples are related to fighting. And that perhaps somehow at various stages in Guild Expedition level 5, you can choose between fighting and negotiating, and depending on what you choose, you get some sort of boost or something like that. That would be my speculation, but yeah, we will have to see next week, or in the next couple of weeks, if we learn more about that. Anyways, moving on, because I don't want to dwell too much, because I did make a separate video. We also have some new rush items, which are quite interesting. We have Rush Mass Event Building instant, which I assume is to complete all. We have the same for goods, so goods buildings most likely. But I think this one is the most interesting. It would be very nice, I think, if you could, the implementation of this would most likely be that you rush all your event buildings, complete them immediately, and collect them. I think this would be really nice, especially, for example, when moving up to a new age. Say you have a couple of these available, and then when you move up to the new age, you can use them, collect your your event buildings a couple of times. get a lot of goods and so on initially. I think that would be really cool. We also have these for single items. And then initially we also had some other icons for it. So rush mass event building. And these one are instant. So most likely these would be instant. And these would be reducing, for example, 8 hours or something like that. These items here have been removed now, or the assets have been removed. So either that won't be added, or perhaps they are just renaming them or reworking them or something and just remove them temporarily. We will have to see. Now, in addition to those, we also have some new icons that have been added. Reward icon special goods and reward icon next stage goods. I think this one is the most interesting. The reward icon for special goods is probably just an icon that shows that the building produces special goods. This might possibly mean that we will get event buildings in the future that has a chance of giving special goods. And then this one, reward icon next stage goods, which is really interesting as well. You're able to produce goods from the next stage. Again, most likely from some sort of event building or something like that. I think it might be interesting if there was a building that below Arctic Future produced next stage goods, and then in Arctic Future and above produced special goods instead. I don't know, I think that might be cool. We will have to, of course, see if that's the implementation or if these are related to something else. I'm sure we will know more as well in a couple of weeks. Perhaps they are related to the Forge Bowl event building, because both of these were released, one day apart. But we also have a first look at the new main building for the Forge Bowl event, which is this one. We don't have a name yet, but here, this one, for example, says Pizzeria here. And this one, I can't quite say, it looks like Marjo or Amarjo, something like that. Not sure if that means anything, but these are both or the two different variations for level 11, which I assume is the final level of this building. In terms of size, it looks really big to me, I must say. It looks like 6x5 to me. I'm not quite sure. But also, the first thing I noticed when I saw them, I wondered if these were perhaps placeholders and it was the same asset as from last year. But nope, these are new, but they are indeed very similar in style to the last 2 years of the Forge Bowl event, with the Terracotta Vineyard and the Fiora Village. So yeah, they would fit in right next to those, which is quite nice, I suppose. I quite like the look of both of these. Looks quite cozy, I think. Some sort of restaurant or cafe. We'll see what they are called, but I imagine they might be something like that. Nova here made a simple example of how they might look in game. Okay, 4x4. Okay, never mind. If they are 4x4, they're not that big actually. And this does seem to fit, so perhaps I was wrong with 5x6 or 6x5. So 4x4, if that's the case, then they are actually not that big. No, 5x4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5x4. I knew it looked longer than tall. So yeah, 5x4, which is quite alright. Same as quite a few buildings. Druid Temple, for example. Heroes Tavern, I believe. But yeah, quite all right size. Will be interesting to see what it gives. One thing that I might say is that it has the new building format. So I've mentioned it a few times. Perhaps I will go into detail about it somehow in a video. It might be interesting. But in the past, the buildings, the data for the buildings, what they give and all of that, it had one format. But last year, they introduced a new format that some of the new buildings give. And this new format enabled the developers to add more interesting rewards. For example, giving fragments. That's something that wasn't possible with the old system, but is with the new one. Giving other new interesting things or new possibilities is possible with the new system and not the old. And that perhaps might be, I don't know, related to these perhaps, that this might be enable it to give higher rate goods or special goods or something like that. I don't know, just some speculation. It's far too early to tell. Probably in a couple of months we will know more. Anyways, I think that's more or less it for this video. But before I end, let me thank my Patreons for their support. I would like to thank Homestar, Fort Prefect, Lorden, Rocknoben, Kim Kelly, Wolf the 8th, PQ the Goat, Dan Simlad, JT, The Rev, Derek B, Hugo Von Count, Jan Fredriksen, Drew the Journalist, Filda, Rush, Susan Weiss, Megarock, Rocco, Eric, Burton Emrys, Henrik Derek Kleberg, Mattia, Opsy the Obsessed, Rav, Kim, Adaril, Mike, Wolfboy, Flavius Belisarius, and Atomic. Thanks a lot for your support. Thanks for watching, take care, and I will see you in the future.